All right, this is Jay Puckett, and he is the regional member for Indiana Members Credit Union, and we're going to be asking him some questions today. Thank you for letting us interview you today, Jay.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kevin.
In a few sentences, can you tell us a little bit about your current position and how you got here?
I'm regional manager, as you mentioned, for Indiana Members Credit Union, and I have responsibilities here for the Brownsburg office, the management for that, as well as I do mortgage lending for the credit union. And then the regional part comes about from being involved with helping our other markets in the commercial lending area. I'm responsible for the Zionsville market, Plainfield market, Avon market, and then the Brownsburg market. So that's kind of how the regional part comes about, because I've had some previous commercial lending experience. So I'm working here in the west side of Hendricks County and northern Boone County to take care of that.
And how long have you been in this position?
With the credit union, I've been doing this for the last 3 years.
Last 3 years.
Previous to that, I was in commercial lending for about 15 years and have had some previous branch management experience with some other financial institutions. Graduated from college in '85, and I've been in the financial industry ever since.
What was your major in finance?
It was business administration, and then I had finance and insurance options in my major.
Who was your greatest inspiration along the way?
Probably my father, and as well as several teachers that I had along the way that were just, really, I guess, inspirational, or provided a lot of leadership that I could look up to. But my father was a banker. He was also in local politics, which I'm involved in both that here in the county. So by far my father, and then again, as I said, a lot of good teachers along the way.
Any particular teacher that you can think of?
Wow. I don't know if I can specifically come up with one. I guess one that really comes to mind is a lady, dear lady. Her name was Mrs. Ernest. She was my 8th grade teacher and just provided a lot of good guidance along the way. So, but I had several good teachers. So.
What do you think makes a successful leader?
What makes a successful leader? Well, I think one, you have to have the technical skills to be able to do the job, so that you can, share those and be a teacher and a coach and help your team, so to speak, succeed in their technical aspect. And then besides that, I think you also have to have leadership qualities, be able to teach, motivate, lead, have people to, try to get along well as a team, communicate effectively what goals and directions that, in our case, where the credit union wants to head and what those initiatives may be. I think that most people want to be treated as adults, so I try to take the approach that, I try to teach or treat people like adults, and then hopefully they in turn will act like adults back. I try not to micromanage. Some staff and employees you have to micromanage a little bit more than others, but for the most part, I want everybody to come in and be able to do their job, have the technical skills, and me just kind of be the coach and let everybody kind of do their thing. So,
how would you define success, and do you think you have met that definition?
well, I think that's different, obviously, for other people. Some people may be heavily motivated by the dollar. Some people may be motivated by having a family and kind of a hybrid of a career and family and those types of things. So I think people treat that differently. I think I look at success, one, if I can go home at night and lay my head down on the pillow and know that I've given my employer an honest day's work, that I've told people the truth, that my integrity is good in the community, that my kids look up to me, that I have a good marriage, so it's kind of well-rounded, I guess, to what's success. Again, there are different types of success, maybe what the world looks at versus other things. So I think that can be a varying definition of a success. To me, I think success is to be well-rounded, again, to be a good citizen in the community, to be a good husband, to be a good parent, to help others, and obviously in our profession, our goal is to help people reach their financial dreams and goals and objectives and things of that type. So I hope that
Yeah, it was good.
answers your question.
It did, yes, it did.
So,
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment to date, or accomplishments?
really, I guess what I kind of just told you regarding what I think is success. I can truly say that when I go home at night, I've provided a good day's work here at the credit union. I feel like I've been a good husband, been married for 29 years, raised 2 grown children. Again, have not really wanted for anything as far as, financially, not that I'm wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly, have what I consider a reasonably nice home and, cars and, able to go on vacations and travel. So, as far as just like one particular success, I guess I would just have to look back at my entire career and think that, each place that I've been is where I'm supposed to be. Completing a bachelor's degree and then also receiving a master's from the University of Wisconsin at the Graduate School of Banking was a good accomplishment. Certainly, I've got some educational accomplishments, but really, I just think that I've, relatively speaking, been reasonably successful, really over the last 25 or 30 years. So, again, I don't know that I can just pick out one accomplishment. So,
Speaking of education, is there any class that you prefer to any other?
underwater basket weaving,
Oh, yeah.
physical education, badminton, whatever. No, I liked all of my business classes. Finance certainly was, my I guess my liking, because I felt like I was, numbers and good with numbers and things like that. So, back up just a second. What was that? Give me that question again.
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment to date?
And then after that, you were asking about the class. Is that?
Yeah, we went off the script.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, no problem. So what are one of the better classes? Again, in my profession, I think, everything that was business, the math, certainly English, any communication skills. A funny story, I guess I think it's funny, but when I was 18 or 17 or 18, was in high school, and I had a typing class, which I hated. And a lady, her name was Mrs. Moon, and she was an older woman, and she would come around. And back in the day, she could do this. She'd take a ruler, and she'd smack you on the hand with a ruler if you were looking down at your keys. And I told her, I said, I would never, ever have a job that I would be required to type at a typewriter. Well, on the computer, certainly you're on the keyboard all the time, so maybe I should have paid more attention in classes like that. But those were ones I didn't enjoy. But anything that was business related, management related, marketing, communication, those were all obviously things that were applicable to what I do today.
How important do you think the topic of ethics is today?
It's important to me. I'm assuming that, not to be naive, that most people would think it's important. Again, you have to live with yourself, and my conscience would tell me that if I went home and had done something unethical, whether it be to my employer or to a member that comes in here, I've always said, if you tell people the truth all the time, you don't have to worry about what you've told them, because you've told them the truth, and then you don't have to backtrack and things like that. So to me, it's very important. And working in a community credit union here in the community, obviously people that come in here, I see them at church, at sporting events, and so I want to make sure that I've not done anything from an unethical standpoint that they would look at me and say, he mistreated me or did something that wasn't right. So to me, it's very, very important. And that's what I told you before. I feel that your character and integrity and your ethical attitude, really, you're the only one that's responsible for that. So it's extremely important.
Do you think it is common for a leader, such as a CEO, to struggle with ethical choices in the business world?
I don't know how common it would be. Certainly it does happen. We're all people, and we do dumb things from time to time and make mistakes. And people get into trouble, whether it be, an addiction of some sort, or, whether it be drugs or gambling, or, and then they don't know where to go or what to do. And so maybe they think the easy way is to, become unethical, and it might be easy to, pill, whatever the case might be. But, so I know that does exist. I think white collar crime is certainly, common. I don't know how common it is. I've not been involved in it, obviously personally, but people that I've worked with, I know of a few, or an occasion that somebody has been dismissed, or there's been a problem for, unethical acts, but I couldn't tell you statistically if it's a, huge problem, but not really in my circles or where I've worked. It's been, has not been a major problem.
What would you do if you encountered something like that in your work environment?
Well, I certainly would owe it to my employer. I guess I come to work thinking that even though the credit union, we are owned by our membership, and I really don't have a ownership interest, i.e. stock or anything like that, I still try to run, this office and like it was my own business. So if I saw somebody that was doing that, certainly I would, I know we have the whistleblower policy that's listed that, no questions asked, you go and report. And, if I saw something like that, I certainly would report it.
Do you think leaders are judged more critically in today's technologically savvy world?
I think everybody's judged more critically, not just leaders. I think, kids and, athletes.
Especially with social media.
Exactly. Everything that you do could potentially be, either a picture or, on film, or, it's out there on Facebook, or, the internet, or YouTube, whatever. So I think we live in a society today where, people expect things quicker. They want a loan decision made within, 5 or 10 minutes before it, so yes, I think just everything in the world today is much more critical. You've got, MSNBC and CNN and Fox News, and, you've got the same, you have the same event that's going on, and you'll watch one on Fox News, which is a little bit more of the right slant, and then you've got MSNBC, which is a little bit more of the left slant. And, it's the exact same story. If I'm getting off topic here, let me know. But if it's the exact same story, and one is saying one thing and one is saying another. So I think just in the age of again, talk radio, talk television, social media, I think people are perceived as having to be held to a higher standard. And just that information is at everyone's fingertips. So I guess my long answer to your question is yes, I do think that is the case.
Thank you. How would you reward employees who you believe are doing a good job?
There are things that I can do on my own personally, but I still have to work within the overall compensation and scheme of the credit union. Little things that I do, I'll try to buy staff lunch if we've done a good job, just things that maybe aren't really monetary. They are to a certain degree, but it's more of a reward, and hey, I thank you for your hard work and efforts. And so lunch, bringing in donuts, things of that nature, just pulling them aside and saying, hey, I really noticed what you did with that member. I appreciate you doing that, or thank you for helping me out with that. Praise goes a long way. They always say praise in public and criticize in private. So if you have an issue with someone, try to call them aside, privately, and say, hey, we need to work on this or whatever. So those are some things that I can do just outside the normal performance review process. But within the performance review process, obviously be as honest as you can in the employee's evaluation. And then, certainly those that are meeting expectations or exceeding expectations, again, within reason, I have some latitude, but for the most part, our salary administration and increases and all typically are handled, more at the corporate level or through human resources or whatever. So I don't have a lot of leeway with that in, regard. But again, praise and, again, buying lunch or, bringing in donuts or pizza or whatever the case is. So just trying to do those little things like that.
How would you reprimand employees who are not fulfilling their duties?
Really, I kind of touched on that a little bit, but certainly, I think that once you see it, you need to address it as quickly as possible. No one likes conflict. I don't like conflict, and it took me a few years to, kind of resign myself to the fact that if there is conflict, you definitely do need to address it and deal with it. So, it shouldn't happen a week or 2 weeks later. Just like with children, if they're doing something now, that's, you should take care of it then. So again, the answer would be that if you do need to reprimand or coach or discuss, is that you would just, in a private moment, pull them back, or, in the office or in the kitchen or whatever, and say, hey, we probably could have handled this a little bit better. If it became, ongoing, that problem did not get corrected, then we certainly have formal means of disciplinary action here, from the standpoint of a verbal warning to a written warning, lasting from 30 days to 60 days to 90 days, depending upon what the offense is and things like that. So,
If you could give us one piece of advice to keep in mind while moving forward with our careers, what would it be?
Certainly you're doing some of the right things now. Your education is very important. Soak up information from individuals. Choose someone that maybe might be a mentor to you that you could look up and try to emulate what he or she might be doing. Someone that you think is successful in your mind, and again, try to emulate them. Practice things conceptually. You're learning things out of a book, but there's no substitute for. There are things that certainly were not in textbooks when you get out into the quote real world. But certainly your education, picking someone that you could emulate and pick their brains. Again, certainly trying to get a mentor. Again, family. I would just seek and try to soak up as much information as you possibly can, and really just try to pick someone out and emulate what he or she is doing.
All right, well, that concludes the questions that I have for you, Jay.
All right, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. All right.
Appreciate it.